I'd like to welcome to PI. What's that? You can. Go ahead. Start with that. Go ahead.
No, I was just joking.
We'd like to welcome to the PIR press room and availability with driver the number 99 Boost Mobile Toyota for Bill McAnally Racing and Pastrana Waltrip Racing this weekend. Travis Pastrana, welcome to PIR.
Wow, thanks a lot for having me.
Talk about your experience first here. We know you did really well at Irwindale, half-mile racetrack. You tested at New Smyrna, half-mile racetrack. How about getting around this place?
Definitely practice was a bit tough for sure. Definitely a little bit off pace, but we have a great team, and with Matt Crafton, who's had a lot of great finishes out here, and the car is actually it's podiumed here before, so I think all I have to do is figure out how to drive, and it should be should be good.
Is this the car Michael drove here to second place in the fall? Do you know?
It was not the car that Michael drove. I don't.
All right. Okay. Well, nonetheless, it's prepared by Bill McAnally Racing, which is a full-timer in the NASCAR Can-Am Pro Series West, and this is your first official NASCAR point race. So what's different about it than Irwindale?
For me, it's just to be able to get as much experience as possible. Irwindale was kind of a cluster. They said, okay, just try to stay out of trouble and drive around. This one, they said, you know what, let's see where you qualify, and we'll get in there and we'll start racing. We'll start to really figure this race thing out. And I feel really comfortable in the car. I feel really comfortable with all the team and the crew and everybody. It's just a matter of finding those couple tenths of seconds. It seems like such an easy sport because it is easy. It is so impossibly complex, and I think that's why it's so much fun because it is the most competitive sport, pretty much in the world. You
mentioned Matt Crafton. This is my last question, then we'll open it up. You mentioned Matt. I understand he's your driver coach for the year. Where will he be for the race today?
He'll be in my ear. Definitely be my spotter. So it's pretty neat to have someone that when I drove the first time at New Smyrna, I didn't really know what to expect. I got in the car, drove a few laps, then Matt got in the car. They drove a few laps, and not only did we have the time, but we had the computer analysis. So I knew where he was braking, how hard he was braking, where he was accelerating, how hard he was accelerating. Could really compare. So even if the times were similar, I knew where I needed to improve and what I needed to do differently. To get the car to work its best.
Let's open up questions for Travis Pastrana. Right here, Jeff.
You mentioned, I'm Jeff Clark, you mentioned,
That's all right. I can hear you.
That's all right. You mentioned that it's a good car and all you have to learn how to do is drive it. How are you going to do that? How long is it going to take you? Everybody's
that
gonna
is
be
the question.
Yeah.
Well, just kind of an interesting thing. Like for practice, the first lap, I was like, man, this car feels really good. It's just a little tight. It's pushing a little bit in the middle of the turn. So we went softer with suspension. And, I just not having experience, it actually got tighter. So I was like, man, we got to, loosen the car up in the middle, And at the end, they're like, well, is it hitting the ground? I'm like, well, yeah, I feel a little. They look, everything's all banged up basically under the car. And we were basically making the car softer, which it was dragging the ground, so taking all the weight off the front end. So it kept getting worse and worse. And that's something that I'll basically have to learn. I have to learn to look for this stuff. I have to figure out, why. It's not just tight. Like, why is it tight? Or it's not loose. Why is it loose? And be able to we have a great team, and they found it really quick. But we're going into qualifying without ever done a mock test run here, so we'll probably be starting a little further back than what I think maybe we could have. But hey, we never know. We'll see how qualifying goes, and you just really listen to the spotter, listen to what they're telling me, and just try to learn as much as possible. I really don't have an answer for that. I mean, we had a 6 in the first race, which was way exceeded any of my expectations. But like I said, I was about a 20th place driver in that race. I think the car might have been that far up of a car, but we just stayed out of trouble. So try to do the same, and I need every lap I can get.
Let's go to Bob.
Bob Hockris from SceneDaily.com. What is your overall goal in all this? I mean, do you want to be a Sprint Cup regular? Is it just to run in the Daytona 500 sometime, or kind of what you want out of all this?
For me, it would be to line up where you could line up in a nationwide car, or hopefully eventually a sprint car, and people say that guy can drive. He's not just a motocrosser. He can come over here and not be a nuisance on the track. He's not going to be someone that just basically earn some respect in this industry and be able to have the ability to figure out how to win. And I think every driver out here thinks that they can be the best, and that's why we're all here. And I just really want to go to the most competitive sport in the world, and where all the top drivers from the U.S. go, and I want to put myself up against them and see how I fare.
Claire B. Langs from Sirius NASCAR Radio. I guess the thing that I really want to know is how much time it will take for you to learn that. Because if you were able to dedicate all of your time, I have no doubt you would be able to do it. But allocating your time, you have your hands in so many things. How do you partition it out when you want this so bad?
That is a great question. And, it's not to say that if you put all the time in that I have the ability to do it, or that but basically if you want to be the best, and I know this from anything that I've got to the top of, it hasn't been just dumb luck or, oh yeah, let me try this and see if it works. You have to sacrifice everything, and that's something that so many guys that sit on the couch on Monday, they go, oh yeah, you should have done this, or they don't understand what goes into it. And I'm definitely very passionate about this, and I told Michael, and we found a team. I said, look, I want to put in a year, which will be this year, and I want to do some races. I want to experience the bias ply. I want to experience the radial tires, and see where the competition is. And starting next year, everything's off the docket, and this is where we have to go. We'll have 2 years from that point to to put in the effort and say, okay, where can we go from here? I think we have a really great starting point. I have a really great team. It's just a matter of trying to figure out what we need to do to get there and see if it's possible.
Travis, Michael Myers with QueersForGears.com. You've said most competitive sport, in America a few times now, and I guess I'm wondering, it's no secret NASCAR is looking for younger fans, and with your fan base, your friends, the circle of people, has maybe their impression of NASCAR changed being around you, what you're telling them about the sport, and sort of, is that changing?
I think Ricky Carmichael coming over was actually a lot bigger than anyone in NASCAR had ever imagined, or still probably even realizes. Ricky was the GOAT, the greatest of all time in motocross, and when he said he wanted to start driving cars, like, he hadn't had a lot of car experience, but he's like, look, I'm competitive, and he's the most competitive person I've ever met. And when he said he wanted to go NASCAR, everyone was like, well, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but yeah, go try it, whatever. And he's actually starting to become a real driver. For me, when I switched over to NASCAR, everyone's like, well, why would you, like, in an industry, and don't take this in the wrong way, but why would you do that when you're doing rally, or you could do core truck or something that, to the general public seems like more fun? Well, you can jump, you can fly through the air. And for me, I think a lot of people are kind of opening their eyes up to see that, it's not just jumping in the car and turning left. And, and hopefully we'll get some Nitro Circus out this year and be able to, put some people in some cars and give them the opportunity to drive that really are arrogant, if you will, and like every other person, think they can drive NASCAR, and just really show the world how complicated and how challenging the sport is. And I think, that's a sub goal to Michael, Walter Racing, is to bring in, because right now the younger audience is really into action sports, and they don't see NASCAR as an action sport. But in reality, it is. All the young guys are competitive. They all want to win. They all, it's an individual sport. But this, as much as a team sport, it's still an individual sport. Once you're out there, you gotta figure out how to drive the car.
Question in the back.
Travis, Haley Shore here with the track. I have a couple questions. First, have you talked to Ricky Carmichael at all about racing here or racing in the series in general?
A little bit. Actually, I haven't talked to him since I just got back from New Zealand. Talked to a lot of guys. Actually, Rick Johnson was been able to help out a lot, and like I said, with Matt Crafton and even the guys, everyone else on the team's been great. But Carmichael, I have so much respect for him. We didn't see eye to eye a lot as racers, so I haven't gone to him too much for advice. I'd be afraid he'd steer me in the wrong direction, but I'll definitely be in more contact later.
And then, what are your impressions of the track here, and what are your goals for the weekend?
The track, I was so excited to get on this track, and it's the fastest track I've driven so far in a NASCAR, and really, really excited. The corners are so different, and I think that's gonna something that I was looking forward to. Not just two standard corners. I think expectations. We try to do as good as we did last time or better, but honestly, I realized that was we stayed out of trouble and ran some luck to get up there. So just really to learn as much as possible and finish every lap and stay on the lead lap that's my goals for this race.
Might come across kind of an ignorant question, but can you explain to me, obviously you're kind of used to a type of racing where pretty much every corner is different and you're constantly just adapting on the fly. I assume you just see a corner and process it in your mind and just, are able to adjust to it. When you come here and you're learning a track, is there any similarity to learning a corner, or what are some of the differences in getting around a track like this?
For me, which was interesting, coming from motocross to rally, it made a lot of sense. Even though motocross the track, every lap the track's different, and you'll see the top guys change lanes at the same time, or change where they're hitting the jumps at the same lap, even not seeing the other people. You have to constantly keep an eye out for what's better. And with rally, you're making the best of the worst. Your co-driver could say, left 6 tightens, opens over big whatever, and you come out there and you can visualize it, but it's never going to be exactly what you thought it was. Here, you know exactly where your braking point is, exactly where your acceleration point is, and then where it actually works out for me is that it changes every lap too, because the tires go away or the tires come in or another line kind of comes on the track. Or I couldn't believe at Irwindale when the shadow hit one of the corners. I was like, wow, that corner, we have so much traction here. And then I'm like, but the other corner we're losing traction. We're like the sun, so it's different than reading dirt, but you still have to continually change your lineup and change what, as the car gets tighter, you got to kind of find that, the apron on the bottom. As it gets looser, you got to do something completely different. So I have a lot to learn, but I think a lot of making the best of the worst, I should be able to control the car when it gets a little sloppy.